wellness department. Most of my role pre-COVID was connecting our patients to social services, and my current role with COVID is to help originally with testing when we first started COVID, and then I actually moved into developing pop-up clinics for hard-to-reach or hard-to-access communities. I actually had family members. My father had COVID at one point during Thanksgiving, and it was pretty scary for a little bit. He didn't have to get hospitalized or anything, but it made it pretty easy for myself and our family to decide to get vaccinated in the long run. So I had the opportunity to be vaccinated a little bit earlier, as well as my mom, because she also works in the healthcare system. But for me, that was great because I had that opportunity to kind of speak from where my family was coming from on a personal level to the community. So I've used that opportunity to work with the community and have those opportunities to sit down with them, talk to them about what their concerns are and how I could help them. So that's been my main role, and I continue to do that with Penn Medicine LG. But the time where we kind of built resiliency was in that second phase where we were all kind of tired and we was just kind of like, okay, maybe one more cup of coffee, one more late night, one more sit down with a community member or community leader. And that's kind of how we built that. I was very lucky to have a really great team that I work with at the hospital, and I have great doctors that support us. That was kind of what helped push me through, just the knowledge that like if we do all these things, if we get the vaccine, if we wash our hands properly, if we wear a mask, if we do all those things, we can get through this. We know that disproportionately that individuals of color are affected more by COVID-19. We have more health disparities that we often face. We have more social determinants that we often face just because of past history. The idea and the importance of being vaccinated as a person of color is bigger than ever. It's kind of one of those things that what we can do to protect our own, what we can do to protect our families, our friends, our community, because we want to continue on this path that we're going on. We've already had a pretty difficult year with other things that are going on in the community and in the world. My call to action would be simply, if you are vaccinated, talk to your friends who aren't. Be reasonable when you have that conversation, be open, be willing to listen to what their concerns are, and have and obtain that knowledge. So know where to get that information, know where you can go that is accurate, real-time information for you to have an understanding of what actually is in the vaccine, what the vaccine does for you, how it can save you, and just really take that ability to work with your community, your friends, your family, your neighbors, to really have those conversations with them, because it's more important than ever to get vaccinated. So that would probably be my biggest call, is get information, make sure you're getting accurate information, and talk to your friends and family that aren't being vaccinated.
Good morning. Wake up, guys. It's TCP in the morning.
Wake up!
Wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Wake up. Wake up.
Wake up!
Wake up. Wake up.
Wake up. It's TCP in the morning.
It's TCP in the morning.
It's TCP in the morning.
It's TCP in the morning. It's TCP in the morning. It's TCP in the morning.
TCP in the morning.
It's 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 TCP in the morning.
Good morning. Wake up, y'all. It's TCP in the morning with the morning tea.
Sing the song here in a minute.
TCP in the morning.
Oh
yeah, we on.
and all that kind of good stuff. You know, being official, doing what we do like we're doing it for TV. Folks, we want to welcome you to the show. Well, horns! Y'all know what it is. If you know it, sing it with us. Hey, welcome to the show! Ladies and gentlemen, wake your ass up, brush your teeth, brush your ass. Horn. Your morning team is back. Hey!
I'm about to direct this one like Kurt Franklin. Like this.
Horns! Get my bushwhacker on.
Horns!
Bushwhack.
Oh!
Bushwhack.
Hey!
Hey! Sarge, what up, man?
What up, what up, what up? How y'all doing? Happy hump day!
Yeah.
Hope you start the day off right, if you know what I mean.
Mike.
Waking up, drinking your coffee, smiling and walking, strutting, because you made it halfway through the week and you're almost there, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for tuning in right now. Y'all in for a good one. Let's go.
Let's go, Lady L. What up?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, show us some love and share the stream. We got a fantabulous show for you. Happy Hump Day. Don't forget, we got a new blog post on our website. Go ahead and visit us, www.thetcpnetwork.com. Can't wait to see you this Friday at the Health Equity Now COVID Vaccination Music Fest going down this Friday, hosted by our Black Lady Doctors. Yes, the Women from Patients Are Waiting is going into week 3 for our Health Equity Now Music Fest. So come on down to Crispus Attucks this Friday between 6 and 9 to get your flu shot, your booster shot, or your vaccination. Over to the desk.
Over to the desk. Folks, good morning. Welcome to TCP in the morning, the best thing that you can have in your cup. Good morning, folks. Don't be rude. Say it back. Let us know where you're listening, how you're listening, and ultimately, who you with? Who are you with? Folks, my name is Marquise Lupton, named by both of my parents. Also known as DJ Quiet Storm.
DJ Quiet Storm.
My Shippensburg people gave me that name. Why? You will soon find out. Folks, one of 3 hosts, one of 4 personalities on this thing we call TCP in the morning. Like I said, the best thing you can have in yo cup. Let's not forget about the man behind the veil. DJ Reggae Double O. What up, man?
You can't call it, man. You can just call me Afro Thunder this morning. You know how I like to let it out every once in a while. Good morning, IG. Good morning, y'all. Looking for y'all in the comments. We got a bunch of good mornings in there already. Everybody that I can see done already said good morning, so ain't nobody got to get called out today. But I'm looking for y'all and calling y'all out. Always glad to be here on this, what is it, Wednesday, hump day?
Already.
It's going to be 40 degrees. I might go outside with my grandson today.
Oh, man. That's what it is.
That's what it is. Later. Anyways, let's get these people the news, man.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what we should do one day?
What's that?
We're going to go by nicknames one day, all college nicknames.
All college nicknames?
College nicknames. What was your nickname in college there, Lady L?
No? Annoying.
No nickname? Persistent. She was persistent. What was your nickname, Double O?
They just call me T.
All right.
I mean, I played football, so everybody, by the time we got to it, it was just T. You know, I was a hitter, bro, so they didn't have enough time to say my name.
Oh, wow. He's just teeing off on people. Like the way I did that, just teeing off.
Well, my line name was Problem Child. Oh. You know, KKA, Kappa known as Problem Child. Holla at me, Trey Club.
Oh.
Anchor.
I was Neo.
Oh, like the Matrix.
Yes.
Oh.
Blue Matrix Reloaded.
Needed some spice. Love that. Love that, folks. Folks, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're talking about South Africa. South Africa has gotten Omicron under control.
They do.
Look at that. And like, didn't the world shut out South Africa because
they got it first?
They discovered it. Like, yo, COVID done changed. Check it out. And the world's like, shut them out.
Don't listen to what they have to say.
Right.
Lock them off.
Shut them out. Also, critics accuse Florida Governor DeSantis of giving his base some red meat. He's trying to pass a law that it is illegal to make white people uncomfortable. So we will dig into that as well. Also, a U.S. Senate candidate rolls up during his campaign video.
Why do you say roll up like people know what that is?
Huh?
Sorry. He was smoking some ganja.
Well, if you read the headlines, it says, U.S. Senate candidate smokes marijuana joint. I'm like, yo, that's clearly not a joint. It's a game leaf.
Yeah.
Or it's a game like yo, it's clearly a blunt.
It's a Dutch master.
It's a Dutch. It's
a blunt, Bill.
Yo.
Get backwoods.
Definitely.
No, backwoods are just the weight. I mean,
yo. What it wasn't
was tobacco.
It wasn't a cannabis joint, as they tried to make it seem. Like,
it wasn't top paper.
Yo, right. It wasn't. Like, that is clearly tobacco paper.
Clearly a homemade cigarette.
He clearly been smoking with brothers.
Yo, right.
Yo, and it was a fan. He wrote that joint nice.
Yo, yeah.
That joint was nice, too.
Yes.
Like, I would have stayed lit the whole commercial. He's talking the whole commercial.
And you know, he did about, 10, 12 takes. So that wasn't the first one.
Oh, yeah.
So we will be getting into that. And then finally, the CDC says cancel it all. Ban football, basketball. If you're in high school, cancel it all. You just need to be going to school, home to school right now.
Just to the Zoom room and back.
Right. So, folks, like we said, we have a jam-packed show for you today. To our good mornings, Neville. Good morning to you, good brother Taekwon. Good morning. Rebecca says, I need more of what y'all had this AM. Rebecca, yo, it is a gift and an honor to get up and do this every morning and not only entertain y'all, but, participate in this news discussion with y'all. It's exciting. Also, Corinne, good morning, Soulfully. Good morning. We just booked Soulfully to do a segment next Wednesday, so I cannot wait. It's going to be delicious. Corinne says, I need all the energy. Renee says, good morning, TCP.
Got you.
Good morning, Renee. Renee, can you tell a friend to tell a friend? Tune in to TCP in the morning. How about that? Yes.
Hi.
Greetings to Candace. Candace, hello, how are you? She says, greetings, TCP family. Lisa says, ooh. Jen says, morning, friends. Hello, Jen, how are you? Nate, good morning to you, tuning in from Allentown.
Yo. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes.
Town in the house.
Right. Renardo, good morning to you. Thank you for tuning in. Sophie says, not the Zoom room. Exactly. Chiquita, good morning to you, Chiquita. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And, of course, Sabrina, it's always a pleasure to see you in the comments section. Let's get ready to give these people the news. Lady
L.
L.
I didn't say nothing. Good morning.
Right. Hello. How you doing?
Good morning, Aunt Bethy. I see you out there.
Peepers.
I see you on there. I can see your name.
Lady L, who we got on IG?
As of right now, we don't have anybody on IG. It says, we're telling your followers that you've started a live video.
All right. So, folks, we're going to give you what you need, we're going to give you what you want, and we're going to give you what you did not expect. Buckle up, tie in, because we're going to give you what the people want. It's about that time. People come here for the news and stay for the commentary. So we're going to give you everything that we're going to give you. That and some more. If you know the lyrics, sing it with us. Time to give the people, yeah. Give the people what they want.
And that's the news.
With a shimmy.
Thanks for stopping by. Our first story for today, folks, takes us to the Griot. So, this comes from the Griot. Arkansas inmates sue jail alleging invectorming experiment. So, a group of prisoners in Arkansas is suing the Washington County Detention Center, its sheriff, and its physician, alleging that they were given
ivermectin.
I'm having such a hard time saying this. I was practicing it last night.
Me too.
Ivermectin to treat COVID-19 at the Fayetteville facility without their consent. The American Civil Liberties Union filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of the men last week. The plaintiffs allege they were told that they were being given vitamins, antibiotics, and steroids. The truth, however, was that without knowing and any voluntary consent, plaintiffs ingested incredibly high doses of the drug that credible medical professionals, the FDA, and the CDC all agree is not an effective treatment against COVID-19. The lawsuit against the Washington County Detention Center, Washington County Sheriff Tim Hedler, and Dr. Robert Cora says, according to CBS. The plaintiffs in the case include 4 men: Edric Woolton, Jeremiah Little, Julio Gonzalez, and Damon Blackburn. The men were reportedly treated with more than 3 times the approved dosage of the drug, which is used to treat some parasites. But it is not approved by the FDA as an effective treatment for COVID-19. No one, including incarcerated individuals, should be deceived and subject to medical experimentation. Sheriff Hadler has a responsibility to provide food, shelter, and safe, appropriate care to incarcerated individuals. The Federal Food and Drug Administration has said that misuse of the drug for COVID-19 can cause serious harm, including seizures, comas, and even death. The detention center failed to use safe and appropriate treatments for COVID-19, even in the midst of a pandemic, and they must be held accountable. According to the ACLU, the men were given the drug in November 2020 and found out the truth about the pill in July 2021. It was confirmed that the drug was being dispensed to them in August 2021. The same month, the 4 plaintiffs tested positive for COVID-19. One of the plaintiffs were taking up to 12 pills a day, which resulted in having 6 times the allotted amount. This is insane. This is insane, you know, and this is our forgotten population of folks when we talk about inmates. So then the powers that be feel as though that they can experiment on our people. Like even though they are still incarcerated, that does not make them less of a person. They are still Americans. They are still a part of our society. And again, we talk about privilege, audacity, and the privilege and audacity here to feel like you can experiment on human beings and not get any kind of repercussion from it. It's mind-boggling. What say you, Sarge?
Listen, I had to look deeper into this. I had to find out Washington County Detention Center. All right, so it has a population of 775. There's 144 detainees that are sleeping on the floor. All right, only 710 of them have beds, and they really should be operating at 600 people there. They should only have 600 people there at their operating capacity. But they are going above and beyond, okay? Now, back in August, they already got $250,000 to get an expansion, all right? On Monday, they're going to take $315,000 more from the American Rescue Plan Act for a program to expand it from 10 beds to 16 beds. All right? I look at it like this, okay? Arkansas has what kind of history? What kind of history? What kind of people live in Washington County? All right? So 50.4% voted for the Republican Party, so the county's a Republican county. All right, they may want to seem like they're a progressive county. All right, but let's look. They had slave plantations in Elkin, Arkansas. They had the racial cleansings in Springdale, and they had public spectacle lynchings in Fayetteville. All right, so I look at the surrounding county of the people, the COs that work there. Who are they supporting? Right. What type of things are they listening to? All right, and that's how you got to do it. You got to go back. You got to unveil all this.
This is what you call a read, folks. Go ahead,
All
Sarge.
right, but you got to unveil all that to peel back the layers and say, oh, well, you guys gave people this because you were like, oh, well, my president said ivermectin. Joe Rogan said it on a podcast. You know, so you're getting these people. You got to know where they're getting their info from, and you want to know, hey, yeah, they did do that. They're wrong.
Lady L.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting story. It kind of, when I first read it, it gave me like Tuskegee experiment vibes, right? Like, it gave me racial injustice and racial health disparities in the prison system. You know, people are being punished, so now the prison system takes this opportunity to exploit them, to experiment on them, to do all kinds of things with their bodies, because at this point they feel as though they are properties of the state. And so when I first saw this, I was like, oh my goodness. And then they're lying to these men. They were lying to them. Oh, we're giving you vitamins. Oh, we're giving you steroids. Oh, if that doesn't sound reminiscent of, oh, we got to treat you for bad blood. Like that's what I got from it when I read this story. It's sickening. It's sickening. And then at some point I read another article that said that at some point they started asking them like permission. And they thought that that was super weird because it was like, well, you weren't asking us before, and now you are? It's very strange. They were wrong from jump. I am looking forward to, I don't know, maybe the FBI or somebody having to do some sort of investigation on this kind of practice. Because you can't tell me that they only begun doing this with COVID. And not to mention, I do want to say that the COVID protocols at the detention center aren't being followed anyway, including allocation of masks to inmates. They're not doing that. And further, according to the Arkansas Justice Reform Coalition, more than 2/3 of the center's inmates are being held pre-trial. That means that they just don't have no money. They don't have bond money. They don't have bail money. That's the only reason why they are in there. More than 80% of the people that are there is because they have high dollar bonds, which also then is a whole situation in the Constitution that talks about how bonds shouldn't be outrageous, should go within your economic status of what you can afford. But we're not going to talk about that, and I'm not a lawyer. Over to the desk, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's sickening. Because like this isn't even your max security type jail. Not that it has to be, but like they're doing this to low level offenders. You know, people that are in there awaiting trial. You know, so I mean it's sickening. You know, and the fact that they could even get away with this for so long shows you the systematic failure that is in our jails. And to think that this is the only one, to think that out of all the hundreds of thousands of jails that are in this country, to think that this is the only one, we would be mistaken to think that.
I mean, for me, this feels like a multi-tier systematic attack, right? Like, because the pharmaceutical company has to provide the medicine to the prison. The prison has to get it from somewhere, and then the prison system has to be okay with this happening, right? So who's really getting all this money? This money's going to somebody. This money's going to somebody because the pharmaceutical companies obviously are looking for places to experiment with this, right? And they found it in a prison. Who allowed this to happen? Who signed this contract? Like we got to follow the money because it's obvious that the pharmaceutical companies don't care about black bodies.
Right.
It's obvious that the prison system doesn't care about the black bodies down there. Like, so who's benefiting from this the most?
Right.
That's my question.
I think I think who benefits from it the most would have been Donald Trump and the Republican Party, because let's say that this was successful. You know, then this experiment becomes public.
Right.
Look, we told you.
Ivermectin.
Right. It works. We gave it to these inmates, and now they're cured in 3 days. You know, versus the other side, if they would have took it and would have died, you know, how far would this story have been buried? Jen says it's slow genocide. Absolutely. Absolutely. Angela, good morning, Angela. She says, truth. Follow the money. And then Sabrina says, wasn't there another prison that was experimenting on the inmates last year? Yes. Yes, there was. And then Corinne says the money is going to a lot of somebodies. Many hands in that corrupt pot. It's disgusting. That's why a lot of us are against private prisons. What's going on in there? You know, so folks, you know, we can't forget about that population of folks that gets locked up, because if this country showed us anything, is that they will take advantage of the most vulnerable population. Sarge.
And they continue to do so. They will continue to do so. They've been doing so for so long. Arkansas, I don't understand, like, if you have people that break the law, okay? You have states that go against what we stand for as a country. We need to impose sanction on these states. Like there needs to be some kind of kickback going back against their senators, against their people writing this abomination of a legislation, you know, making up these rules and allowing people to do this. You can't you're allowing a Frankenstein experiment to go on.
Yep.
Because why? Because you don't believe in COVID like that? Or because your view differs from what scientists think? Because you're not a scientist. All right, so be a jail, be a warden, be a CO, be a doctor. Like, don't make decisions. Don't be Dr. Frankenstein.
Right. So, Sarge, talk about Dr. Frankenstein. Can you take us to our next story, please?
Yes, yes. Our next story is comes out of South Africa. Okay, now South Africa has all but gotten the coronavirus under control. All right, they first detected it way back in November of 2021, and they strengthened their COVID-19 protocols. And after they did so, especially in public gatherings. And that's something that we Americans are we're back to normal.
But my fun. But my fun.
Right?
But my fun.
All right, so this comes out of Johannesburg. Only 8 weeks after the world first heard about the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, when researchers in South Africa who discovered the strain notified the global authorities, the country's wave of infection has fallen as sharply as it climbed. Not only that, but South Africa has weathered its fourth wave of COVID-19 with very little interruption to people's lives. CBS News foreign correspondent Deborah Patty reports that in the suburbs of Johannesburg, restaurants are busy again, traffic is jammed, and the city is bustling. Omicron quickly became the focus of global anxiety as infections spread across South Africa with ferocious speed. Within days, the country was the epicenter of the pandemic, and then, well, not much happened at all. Patty and her team have monitored one COVID ward at a hospital in the Gauteng province, which includes the metropolis of Johannesburg and the capital of Pretoria, throughout the pandemic. 6 months ago, during the country's battle with the Delta variant, the hospital was overwhelmed. ICU beds and oxygen were running out, and the death rate was soaring. You're a human being before becoming a nurse. So seeing people die like that is very, very hard and exhausting, said Nurse Justice Mangala. During the Omicron wave, however, it was looked like a completely different hospital. It's about half empty, with very few patients requiring oxygen, and the staff are under a lot of pressure. This time around, they said they could count the deaths on their hand in the ward on one hand.
Wow.
All right, so right there, they seen the problem, and what did they do? Stopped it. Stand. Whoa, wait. Shut down again. Let's not go anywhere. All right, so Dr. Fauci says we have 5 stages of this thing. There are 5 stages, and we are only in the first stage. All right. The first stage of the pandemic, the first stage is a truly pandemic. The second stage is deceleration, followed by the third stage, which is control. 4th, elimination. 5, and eradication.
Look at that. That guy's good.
We're still going through the truly pandemic. We're going through each different variant, checking it off.
Right.
All right, we can't go to the deceleration until we have it out of certain countries, confined to certain spaces where it can be controlled. You get that? Deceleration, control. All right, so there's 5 stages. We're in stage 1. You guys got to sit back. Sit back. All right? Get back to Zoom and get cool, get comfy with it. All right, get back to HBO Max. Don't cancel all your subscriptions. Keep watching movies on TV.
No, we're ready to go outside.
Get back to that family time at home. Don't be so quick to get back.
Man, both them kids.
What you got to say, Lady L?
I was going to say that it's interesting because when this first came out with the Omicron variant, Europe imposed travel restrictions against South Africa. United Kingdom stopped flights from South Africa, and consequently suffered economic loss with that. So the travel bans in Europe were no good for South Africa and Southern Africa. They suffered 2 financial blows because of its ability to detect the Omicron variant, which is crazy, right? So it's so South Africa detected it, they saw it, they said, hey guys, you should be on the lookout for this, and then they suffered some of that. South African travel and tourism also took a substantial knock, and this was as early as December 2021. Bookings dropped by 85%. Political leaders, social activists, and the Airport Association of Southern Africa condemned the United Kingdom decision to place South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Eswatini on the red list. And the WHO, or the World Health Organization, cautioned countries imposing travel restrictions because of Omicron resurgence. The travel restrictions strained the South African economy and threatened diplomacies and trade agreements. And so what I love here is that they have been able to not only be the first to detect it, but then turn around and be the first to get it under control, right? They continue to push mitigation efforts, mask wearing, limit gatherings of people. Like, they continue those efforts despite Omicron coming in and noticing that it was more and easily transmissible. And I love that. And now we are seeing them again making headway. And it's crazy that we're here considering what? There was a point in time in this pandemic. And guys, listen, let me know if you hear me. Write it down in the comments. Say yes, Lady L. Do y'all remember when there was a point in time when we all said we was going to Africa because that seemed to have been the only continent that hadn't had COVID yet?
Yes, Lady L.
Yes.
And we were all like, look, we gotta get to Africa.
What you talking about? DJ Quiet Storm wasn't even going to the beach.
Yo! Talking about tourism and canceling trips. Yes. Yeah, and that was crazy because I remember we had our trip booked, and then in March I like canceled it, and then it was like, and then yeah, Quiet Storm was like, "Ooh, we should go to the beach." And I was like, "Sir, we canceled the beach."
Oh man, but yo, I for one don't want to piss off South Africa. Like, South Africa is the one that discovered Omicron. All these people would have been getting sick, and would have been like, "Oh my gosh, the Delta variant is doing its thing." It's like yo, next time, South Africa is just gonna be like, "Oh, for real? Well, then we just gonna let y'all die."
Yeah, y'all don't believe us anyway.
Right.
We ain't telling y'all nothing.
Right. We ain't gonna put you on. How we gonna put you on and then you gonna shut us out?
They gonna be like Wakanda with the vibranium, just like, nah, we just over here by ourselves.
Right. We don't want no vibranium.
Right.
We good.
We good and healthy over here. Good and healthy. Oh man. So Lady L, can you take us to our third story, please? And while you get that ready, let me read these comments. Oh man. Jen says, "You're being too logical, Sarge. Even though Biden is blue, most states are still red, and they don't give a F." That is true. And then follows up and says, while smug America was busy calling it the Africa variant. That is so true.
Don't forget, it started out as the Kung flu.
Yeah, yo. Shawnee, what's going on? He says hashtag
doing everything but taking responsibility.
Bars. And then Sophie says, the colonizers are on their way to meddle. Can't let the word spread. Other countries have it under control. And then Jen says, haha, right, Lady L. And then Chiquita says, LOL, right, Lady L. So, Lady L, if you could take us to our third story of the day, please.
Yes,
Speaking about Biden.
Gladly. So we got another story talking about backbiting Biden. Listen, maybe some of you have noticed, you may have gotten an alert on your phone last night. I promise you it is not spam, and it is not China or Russia. It is the U.S. government letting you know that you can order free at-home COVID test kits. Yes, that text message that you received was legit. The U.S. Postal Service has begun taking orders for free at-home coronavirus test kits. Each household order will contain 4 rapid tests, which the Postal Service says will be shipped for free by the end of this month. The White House says it will prioritize shipments to Americans from zip codes that have experienced high rates of COVID-19 cases and deaths, with the first 20% of each day's orders going to those areas. There will also be a phone number so those without access to computers or high-speed internet can place orders. Some 700,000 people were on the test kits website when it opened up on Tuesday. So listen, we're actually going to drop that link down for you. If you guys didn't respond to the text message on your smartphone or device, we will drop the link down in the comments right now for you. Some people on Twitter have also reported problems with orders from residents of apartment buildings, with multiple units being told that someone from the household had already ordered tests. So please be mindful of that they are going to be working through that. They do know that that's an issue, and they are working on that as we are sharing this story with you. So President Biden last week announced that the administration plans to buy 1 billion at-home tests for Americans, and also said that the White House will make high-quality masks available for free And the details of that will be coming out later on this week. And of course, tune into TCP in the morning for those details. Gentlemen, did you guys get that text message on your smart device? Guys, let me know. Did you get that message on your smart device about ordering these at-home test kits? And did you think it was legitimate or did you think it was spam? It's really interesting because when the government dishes out these things, they definitely should find a way to let us know because we get so many things on our devices. How do we know that it's really coming from the government and that it's not trash or somebody trying to steal my identity? Taking it over to the desk, gentlemen.
I didn't get a text message.
I didn't get one either.
I got messages from elected officials. I got messages from other community members saying that, hey, this is available. Can you share this on the show? So that's how I found out about it. I heard everybody like getting text messages and everything like that. I was like, oh, do I not exist?
I didn't get one either. So.
Oh well, then I don't know. I don't know. But we definitely did share the link in the comment section. So go on ahead and get yourself a test. Shawnee says, yeah, I thought it was a scam. And then Chiquita, she said it as well. I didn't get a text.
You guys ready for me to go in on this?
Go ahead.
Because this is the Biden admin. This is all right. We always argue reactive, not proactive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Reactive, not proactive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we being reactive or proactive?
Reactive.
Exactly. We're being reactive because you know why? Back in October, there was a group that got together. All right, they were a school for one of the Harvard research schools and like 7 other different Ivy League schools, medical schools, who got together, and October 22nd, they gave the White House a proposal for free rapid tests for after the holiday, because the holidays were coming. So they offered this, and what it was it would have got 500 million at-home test kits in 2 months into just about every American household. This plan was made October 22nd, before Halloween, before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, before all the holidays.
Right.
All right, and you know what the White House did? October 25th, through back channels. They couldn't even bring them back in to say, hey, no, we're not going to do it. Through back channels, they got the word back that, no, the plan's dead on arrival. They're not going to do it. The plan's dead. What they're going to do is we'll just rush the FDA to approve these at-home tests. Wait, the FDA should be a separate organ. Ain't it a separate entity? How can you control that, but yet you don't want to get these at-home kits? You didn't want to get these out prior to the holidays, but now you want to make it seem like you're doing the most. You're not doing the most. You're not doing your part. You're continuing to be reactive instead of proactive. All right? And to win any battle, you got to be proactive. You can't just stay on the defensive and expect to win. You can't. You at some point in time, you have to listen to everybody. You have to try something outside your realm of thought and go with it. So that's where I'm at with that.
I think we're getting to the point in the election cycle where it has to seem like he's doing something.
Yeah.
I think we're at that point now where we're about to vote for Democrats and for Senate seats. Like, the Democrats have to look like they're doing something. So he actually went above and beyond. He went to a billion at-home tests. Like, dude, there's only so many houses in America.
Right, there's not even 1 billion people in the country.
There's only so many houses in America. Like, stop trying to make a point with this political stuff and start doing stuff people need.
Right.
Like, we could have been answering these questions in November. But you want to look like it's your idea. And this is what I'm saying. We're in a political cycle where they want to look like they're accomplishing things and they got things moving. This is just a thing to distract us, fam. Let's not forget what they're actually trying to do.
Sydney, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. She says, I got an email, no text. Sophie says, me too, with saying that she got an email. Mary, hey, good morning, Mary. She says, I don't think I got a text, but I did see something and ordered. It was easy, but single address will be an issue for some. Yeah, I can see that being a issue. So before we get to our next story, Lady L, you have some more to interject with this.
Just that guys, be safe and be mindful. Please remember that we are still in the middle of a pandemic. So yes, we are excited and hopeful about these free at-home test kits, but we are still, again, in the middle of a pandemic. If it's okay with you, I suggest that you mask up indoors, even if you are having small gatherings, until we get the details on when these test kits are actually going to show up. We know they're coming out in the mail at the end of January, but we still don't know by the time they'll show up, considering that the last presidential administration got rid of a lot of the services of the Postal Service, which then now has caused severe delays in our delivery system. So just be mindful of that. Please make sure that you are masking up. And if you are at all interested, come down this Friday to get vaccinated. Here we go. Taking it over to the desk.
And finally, one last point before we go to our next story. The article says Americans who have private insurance will have to cover their own costs for the tests with an option to be reimbursed. Private holders can be compensated up to $12 per test after making a claim with their carrier and showing proof of purchase. And this is from a report from CNBC. So, however, the test won't qualify as a deductible, and reimbursement claims are only for tests acquired after January 15th. The White House announced that people can start ordering the tests today, and we have the website down there for you. So, go ahead, order up, folks, and stay safe. Cindy with an S. I'm sorry. Cindy with an S said, canceled my birthday party at Pava Gallery. Still got COVID-19 after triple vax. Sheesh. Yeah. And that's what is disheartening to people, is that they're like, yo, I'm vaxxed, I'm boosted, and I still got it. And it's like the vaccine and a booster shot helps quell those symptoms. Right.
Doesn't make you immune.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, though, even just in general terms of virus, in terms of science, when you think about a virus, that's always been one of those diseases that scientists have always eluded scientists. Like, it's a virus. It's not a bacteria. So it's structured differently, and it mutates differently. So, there's no cure for a virus. That's kind of been like if it's a virus, just know that there's no cure.
Right.
That's just what it is. But with these vaccination efforts, it's an attempt, like my handsome husband co-host said, to quell it. So maybe you don't need to be on a respirator. Maybe you can breathe enough to FaceTime, or you can breathe enough to drive or take a shower. And those are just some basic things that people just couldn't even get out of bed to do with COVID and no vaccination. Just some of the things that we just take for granted, getting up and doing yoga, are things, the basic bodily functions that COVID has hindered from folks.
Yeah, if you listen to Stephen A., Stephen A. Smith, he spent all of December battling COVID, and he said that had he not been vaxxed and boosted, he would not be here right now. He said that he would have died, he would have kicked the bucket had he not been vaxxed. So just folks, understand the vaccine, it's not like it's going to prevent it. Just like the flu vaccine doesn't prevent the flu, it just helps with the symptoms. It gives your body a squad to beat down that virus. If I have to paint any kind of picture, right. So make sure you squad up. Folks, just to let you know that myself, DJ 00, and the Sarge, we will be on Brother Sharif's show, the Hour of Power, tonight on York Public Television. So make sure you come on back to the page and celebrate this moment for us as we head over to the White Rose City and give them what they need.
YC, what up?
Yeah. So our next story comes from the Associated Press. So critics accuse DeSantis of base pandering as he pushes a bill to shield white people in Florida from discomfort at school or in job training. State legislation would prohibit public schools and private businesses from making white people feel discomfort in discussing racism and discrimination in the nation's past. So, like I said, this comes from the Tallahassee Associated Press, a bill pushed by Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that would prohibit public schools and private businesses from making white people feel discomfort when they teach students or train employees about discrimination in the nation's past, received its first approval on Tuesday. The Senate Education Committee approved the bill that takes aim at critical race theory, though it doesn't mention it explicitly, on party lines with Republicans in favor and, of course, Democrats opposed. Democrats argue the bill isn't needed, would lead to frivolous lawsuits, and said it would amount to censorship in schools. They asked, without success, for real-life examples of teachers or businesses telling students or employees that they are racist because of their race. This bill's not for blacks. This bill was not for any other race. This was directed to make whites not feel bad about what happened years ago. And this is from State Senator Shervin Jones, who is black. At no point did anyone say white people should be held responsible for what happened. But what I would ask my white counterparts is, are you an enabler of what happened, or are you going to say we must talk about history? DeSantis held a news conference last month in which he called critical race theory crap and said he would seek legislation that would allow parents to sue schools and employees to sue employers if they were subjected to his teachings. Critical race theory is a way of thinking about America's history through the lens of racism. It was developed during the 1970s and 1980s in response to what scholars viewed as a lack of racial progress following the civil rights legislation of the 1960s. It centers on the idea that racism is systematic in the nation's institutions and that they function to maintain the dominance of white people in society. Conservatives rejected, saying it would view derived from Marxism that divides society by defining people as oppressors and oppressed based on their race. They call it an attempt to rewrite American history and make white people believe they are inherently racist. The bill reads in part, an individual by virtue of his or her race or sex does not bear responsibility for actions committed in the past by other members of the same race or sex. An individual should not be made to feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress on account of his or her race. So, folks, what we're seeing here is that I shouldn't have any kind of effects that my ancestors did. I shouldn't have to answer those questions. I shouldn't have to feel discomfort because that was my ancestors. That was my great-grandfather. He did that. That's not me. That's unfair to me. But then to that same person, I ask this. That great-grandfather or that great-great-grandfather or that great-great-great-grandfather who owned slaves and had your family in another economic situation, another economic bracket, you benefited from that. Regardless of what you said or didn't say or anything like that, you are benefiting from said system. So it's not like it's so far long ago that, oh, it doesn't affect me. You're making me feel bad because of history.
Did you accept your inheritance?
Right. Exactly. It's very much still today. There's a teacher. I won't say his name. There's a teacher from Elizabethtown. He's going to get his second master's. And this is his first time spending money on school using his own money. The first time he went for his undergraduate, he used his grandfather's money from when he worked for Amtrak. When he went for his first master's, he used his dad's money that was passed down to him. And he's like, oh, you know, I'm going for my second master's. This is the first time. Then I'm gonna be using my own money for my education. Like, this is what is passed down. from generation to generation. And this is why stuff like critical race theory is essential to our society, because it explains situations like that by adding race into it as well. I'm going to bring in the team. Go ahead, Lady Al.
There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, things that this idea of critical race theory happening in K through 12 schools is not really like a thing, right? We all know that this was a thing that was being taught in law school, looking at American history through the lens of black and brown people. I'm really trying to skim this so that we're all caught up. And so that's what that was. So this idea of critical race theory in our schools and everything like that, that's not a thing. The issue is that for generations, white children were not learning what was then called black history. Now, maybe some of my peers in the room know you learn black history either during February or right around MLK Day, and that was kind of when our history teachers or language arts teachers taught us about black folks. And that was the beginning in the end. Now, what happened was they were only doing that in inner city schools. Only teachers in inner city schools were making it a point to teach this black history or these concepts of black people in America that was only happening in the city. Because then when you talk to other peers that go to predominantly white schools and you say, well, how was that? Did y'all learn about Nat Turner? Did y'all learn about this? Like, shoot, we were calling, we used to do a computer phone call with Rosa Parks every year in my elementary school, right? So that's what they did in urban schools and inner cities, right? So they didn't do those same things for white schools. And now in the 21st century, what we're seeing is teachers, parents, admins saying, y'all do know that we've read plenty of history books. This is not really what happened. We should be teaching this to our kids, this information. We should be incorporating black history into our history. It shouldn't be separate. It's all American history. And that then became the new discussion. And in that new discussion, what racists did, they said, oh, you're trying to teach critical race theory. No, we're trying to teach a full and holistic spectrum of what happened here to build America. And it wasn't nice, and it wasn't beautiful, and it wasn't friendly. And what they're saying is that's okay. Because now we know that it wasn't these things. Now we can talk about Jim and Bob being friends together. Now we can talk about why Christy and Jabril should be friends. But you can't do that if you're trying to ignore it and hide it. This ain't nothing but a law for Karens. That's what I'm reading this, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the law for Karens. This is a law that's going to allow white people to be all kinds of indignant and rude, and then just say, oh, well, I was offended. And that's exactly what it's going to be. I was offended. How many black children had to sit in classrooms, hear about their history from the perspective of slavery, and that be all, and not be able to say, do, react, respond, or give any real feedback in the classroom? How many black children had to sit in the space and just take all of that in? Or how many black children had to speak up and be a representative for their entire group of people in 4th, 6th, 7th grade? And you're sitting up here telling me that you're going to make a law saying that you can't make white people feel bad when white people have been making the entire world feel bad with lies and mixed up history, and now we are saying, no, it's over. Let's stop this. Florida, if you want to succeed from the union, deuces. We've all been waiting for a hurricane or something to take you apart from the rest of the United States. This is ridiculous. And I hope that sharing some of the information from our last story about South Africa, I hope we start to see tourism dollars leave Florida. I hope to see y'all stop traveling to Miami. I hope to see y'all stop giving them y'all money, especially people of color. Cubans, y'all down there in Miami, come a little bit further north, because it's about to get real ugly. Because Karens are about to be on high alert and high extreme and think you're going to be in Florida and not offending them. This is the same place that told people with New York license plates to go back north. This is the same place. Stop going to Florida yesterday. Let it go. And let's start seeing those tourism dollars dwindle, and let's see how that goes.
Look, the first half of the century, Florida led the nation with the highest numbers of lynching per capita. All right, they used to have mobs of white people would target black communities. I think November 2nd, 1920, it happened in Ocoee. It happened in Rosewood in January 1923. I'm going to give you timelines. 1948, after World War II. 1951, they continued with their racist views. All right, there were still color-only trains, color-only buses. 1951, there was killing of 4 black men that were just accused of raping a girl who was out with her husband. They said these 4 black men raped them. These guys died. Like there was mobs sent out. They hunted them down. They killed them. The sheriff's office killed them. 1954, the segregation ban. It wasn't happening. All right. 1956, they had KKK members in the Senate. They called them the Pork Chop Gang. All right. 1964, the Civil Rights Act. Right. It passed. Nope. 1977, the KKK march. 1987, the KKK march. That was their 100th year celebration. They celebrated 100 years of marching in Florida. And they still continue to do so to this day. 1988 was the last thing that Florida did for anything black. They declared Martin Luther King Jr. Day a holiday. All right? That's what they did.
And that's low-hanging fruit. That's low-hanging fruit. And to that point, John McCain was one of the Republican senators that was against making MLK Day a national holiday. You know. So to the comment section before we get to our fifth story of the day, which is a crazy fun one. So Lady L, while you were going off, yes, as they say, the comment section was cheering you on. Jen says, haha, don't make the white people feel uncomfortable. Candace says they are still benefiting from that old money. Indeed, Taekwon says even if they deny their inheritance, they can't deny their whiteness, and that's a fact. Sophie says how they don't want us to have any feelings about it, but yet they always pushing slavery as black people's origin in America. Yeah, they never teach history of our people being kings and queens, Egyptians, and etc. Yeah. To that point, they're trying to convince us that Egyptians are right. Make it make sense. Cindy with the S says, even without money, they benefit jobs, assumed intelligence, assumed good character are all some of the benefits. We won't even talk about enabling of deviant behavior. Man, y'all are on one this morning. I love it.
That's like them kids screaming.
That's an amen right there.
The deviant behavior is them kids that you want to beat in the grocery store. That's them kids. You sitting up there like, you just going to let your child talk like that?
Yes.
No, Mom. No. I want Cheerios.
Mary says, how we feel is up to us. If you feel guilty or complicit, then own it. Santos, and deal with it. Cindy says, Mary, they won't let me like it 2 times to her comment. Mary then says, preach, Lady L. Keisha says, good morning, lady. You look very nice, and backs it up with saying facts. Chiquita says, talk about it, Lady L. Sophie says, facts, Lady L. Tell it.
Hallelujah.
Cindy says, children, I'm still doing it today. Jordan, what's going on, Jordan? He says, come on now. Keisha says, indirect torment. Candace says, big facts, Lady L. Preach. Keisha says, get them. Jordan says, Lady L. killing them right now. Sophie says, tell it. Keisha says, period. Cindy says, it is a way to remind us of our place. Yeah. And she says, and L has spoken. Taekwon says, Lady L for the win. Sophie says they put that imagery of black people in a negative light and don't want to deal with the consequences of it. Man, y'all are on it today. Keisha says, when we march, it's insubordination. Riots is uprising and all of that. But, 100 years of the KKK. Man. Reading these comments.
Celebrating white excellence.
Yo. Oh, my God, yeah. Jews will not replace us.
Yo, blood on the sand. Blood on, something like that.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff.
I don't know.
Where do you get? I want to know who came up with them sayings.
I don't
Probably old 1950s.
Right.
They just recycling the old stuff.
They probably got like a little CD joint that they like to play of the old school hate songs.
It's probably It's probably something that the Nazis did, and they just converted it to English. Like, I really don't see them being too
creative.
Right. Just, you know. But folks, we got a good one here. We're going to keep it moving. It is 9:01 right now on this lovely Wednesday morning. You are watching TCP in the morning, the best thing that you can have in your cup outside of Bustelo.
Oh, get some of this.
But yeah, let's get to our next story.
Do we have the video?
Insane.
Can we play the video?
Oh, all right. We will.
So as I read the story, we're ready to play the video.
Yeah.
So this comes from Blavity. In a newly released campaign ad, Louisiana Senate hopeful Gary Chambers is seen smoking what is presumed to be marijuana. The Baton Rouge native took to Instagram and posted a 37-second clip, which shows him smoking and sharing alarming statistics on drug arrests among black people.
I got it.
All right. I will play it right after I get done reading this, or as I read it.
Yeah.
So every 37 seconds, someone is arrested for possession of marijuana, Chambers said while sitting in an open field, smoking a rolled blunt. Since 2010, state and local police have arrested an estimated 7.3 million Americans for violating marijuana laws, over half of all drug arrests. Black people are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana laws than white people, he continued. Most of the people police are arresting aren't dealers, but rather people with small amounts of pot, just like me. The progressive ad has since gained over 6,000 views on YouTube and has received praise from those in favor of legalizing the use of marijuana. For too long, candidates have used the legalization of marijuana as an empty talking point in order to appeal to progressive voters, Chambers said in a follow-up statement supporting the ad. I hope this ad works not only to destigmatize the use of marijuana, but also forces a new conversation that creates the pathway to legalize this beneficial drug and forgive those who are arrested due to outdated ideology, he added. Chambers is on a quest to unseat Senator John Neely Kennedy, Republican from Louisiana, in the upcoming Senate election on November 8th. Part of his agenda is to have criminal records removed for those who have been convicted of marijuana offenses. New Orleans City Council members recently passed an ordinance aiming to eliminate penalties for simple possession of marijuana. Chambers was unsuccessful when he ran last year during a special election. However, he became a viral sensation when he was recorded going off on East Baton Rouge school board members during a discussion over renaming Robert E. Lee High School. He joins the race for the seat alongside other Democratic hopeful Luke Mixon. Gary Chambers, you are not wrong at all. Bro, I think about doing it every day. And I'm not even running for office. You know, running for office, you're like, you know what? Whatever. You know, I think he does have to be open with it because looking at some of the other senators around the United States, like, they're congressmen, senators with issues. Whether it's cocaine issues, alcohol issues,
opioids,
domestic abuse, yeah.
Like, they have issues. Lighting up a doobie, smoking some weed is not the biggest issue.
But if you still picture them as those like 1930s ads for marijuana and how it makes the Mexicans and blacks crazy.
Your brain on drugs.
But I mean, I wish we had one of those little videos to show that what they said marijuana did to Mexicans and black people. It made Mexicans steal and it made black men rape white women. And they have those in those little black and white videos. And I love this because his video is like the opposite, right? Like, I'm a black man, I'm getting high, and no, I'm not going out here to rape your women.
I'm sitting in the field smoking my weed.
Right, minding my business.
Oh, and by the way, I'm running for office.
That part, right, that part, because those old 1930s commercials would have you thinking that you're going to be stuck. Even the more recent new millennial commercials with, like, the truth campaigns. And they have those kids being high as a kite, and they're like flat on a couch.
Right, like
this.
The dog walks in and out like a bunch of times.
Yeah, he's just laying there like
this. The kid just laying on the couch. Yeah. You used to walk me before you started smoking weed.
Yo, I love and hate those commercials. Yo.
Yo, between them and the progressive commercials, I don't know which one fits me more.
The friend was flat, like she.
Are you good?
we don't do nothing anymore.
Yes.
Because all she does is smoke weed. Like, yo, if you don't get your flat ass up, yo, we out.
Yes. Angela made a good point. Yes, it was reefer madness. That's what the reefer madness.
Oh my gosh.
And don't forget, also with newer things, marijuana. I used to teach like drug abuse to my teenagers, and we used to teach them about marijuana giving you amotivational syndrome.
Yeah.
And then we would have discussions on like what you do when you're not high, how you are when you are high, and what that amotivational syndrome looks like in you as an individual. Right? So then that's also a thing. I think the flat girl on the couch, I think that was the amotivational syndrome. It was a motivational syndrome in action on the marijuana.
I can walk my dog. I can walk my dog and do the thing. Like, I don't be all flat. It was flat. Like, these commercials don't be right. All right, this is your brain on drugs. Give me that egg.
Maybe because they have people who have not gotten high as a kite making commercials on what happens when you're high.
They read a book.
Right. Get somebody that used to be on crack. Give you an idea on making a crack commercial.
Let me show you a functional crackhead, and you tell me if they sitting around.
Right.
Yo, listen, there were some functional crackheads that were prison guards in the hood.
There's some functional crackheads that are U.S. senators.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yo.
There's some stone cold junkies in the military.
Yo. To the comment section, y'all are going off. I love it. Corinne, yes, Corinne. She says that they were on that indica. Boom, indica, in the couch. Keisha says the Mr. Softy jingle talking about racist things that we didn't know that were racist.
Mr. Softy jingle?
Oh, yes.
What?
Yes. We'll talk about it, but yeah.
You know, absolutely. Mr. Softy's still in Philly.
Yeah. LaRock says, good morning, good brother. He says, that blunt was fat as hell. I don't think that joint was real. Yo. He could have just had a fatty. Right. He could have just had it.
He does got sent. He's running for Senate, so we got some bread behind him probably somewhere.
Right. Keisha says TCP in the morning. Say it then. Exactly. Taquan says, right. He was getting high. And LaRock says 3 times high. And Cindy says, I can't understand why it isn't legal in PA because as it stands right now, they make more money with it being illegal than with it being legal.
So stupid.
But the tide will shift soon. LaRock says, I saw a black man sitting isolated, reflecting on the plight and perils of his country. That's a weapon of mass destruction. Say it, Pastor.
Boom. Say
it, Pastor. Preaching. Angela Cott says his opponent's ad will be Reefer Madness too. Yeah.
You know it.
Yep. And he's probably going to add in his, the fact that he's a black guy and super predator. And
right. They're probably going to talk about the fight he got in the 7th grade and how he beat somebody up. And now he's an angry, agitated black person.
What he should really do, now that we're talking about it, he should B-Rab himself.
Yeah, preempt the strike, bro.
Yo, he should be like, Clarence parents had a real good marriage. Like, and I know that you, my girl, and I'm still sitting here saying F the free world.
Smoke bud without going to jail and stay in the free world.
Like he could 8 Mile himself here and take out all the momentum that he knows that they're going to.
Take all their ammunition, too.
Right.
Because then you got to be on the policy.
Right.
You got to beat them on policy.
That part.
My thing is how do we get people to vote? How do you get a younger... He's our age. Mm-hmm. All right, he was born in August of 1985. All right, so he's my age, I'm the...
I'm the youngest person in the room.
Sorry. Oh, are you, lady?
I am.
You always going to be the youngest person in the room, girl.
I usually am.
Always looking young. This is my handsome co-host wife, pretty wife over there. Did I say it right? Handsome co-host, pretty wife?
I don't know. I
tried. Anyway, I tried. I was trying there. But what I'm getting at is like we have to change the way we do politics.
Yeah.
Like we can't. If anything, Donald Trump has done is open it up to everybody. You don't have to be a college graduate. You didn't have to go to Princeton and be cum laude. You know, you didn't have to graduate cum laude, whatever. You know, you get to, you can be a person again.
Right.
You can be a real person who wants to create real change. And get a chance to do it. Get a chance to show people. That's why the redrawing of the district lines matters.
Yeah.
That's why doing things like this, showing people you are human, you are regular. You make mistakes. Hey, you smoke weed, and you don't look at it as being bad.
Right.
Like, this should appeal to voters. This should get people out to vote. Like, you know what? If this guy's, I should really get out and vote. I'm tired of this racist stuff. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
I'm tired of that. Get out and vote. Be a part of it.
I'm pretty sure somebody's Karen grandmom going to see that and be like, oh, no, I got to get out there and vote because there's no way that this man, there's going to be all kinds of crime if he get into office. Look at that.
I think it's like we have to, like the older generation, that golden generation, baby boomers, we're getting past them. Like COVID's wiping them out.
Oh, man.
COVID is wiping out our baby boomers. COVID's wiped them out.
It's
we're almost
crazy.
at 1 million people. Are we at 1 million yet?
Soulfully says, back to the comment section before we get to our sixth story with Lady L. Soulfully says, I remember that. I used to be cracking up. That commercial would take me out. LaRock says, his opponent, I'm going to bring back This Is Your Brain on Drugs, scrambled egg commercial. Indeed. And then Lisa says, samples the wrong drugs, filming that commercial. Keisha says, wow, there it goes again. Addiction, though, ain't funny. And then says, those vulnerable were given it like a vaccine. And Gary says, good morning. Did you know DOJ Merrick Garland prosecuted a mayor crackhead, Mary Berry? I didn't know that it was Garland, but we do have plenty jokes about Mary Berry and DC and how he was reelected after the whole crack thing. Keisha says free test for each house with 2 or more voters, and Corinne says was just thinking the same thing, Sarge. So Lady L, can you take us to our sixth story of the day, folks? We are moving and grooving this morning.
Absolutely.
On TCP in the morning.
So after these statements, I'm pretty sure our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, will not be allowed in Florida. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen discussed the systemic inequality still lurking in the U.S. economy and the work her department needs to do to narrow the racial divide from Reconstruction to Jim Crow to present day. Our economy has never worked fairly for Black Americans, or really for anyone or any American citizens of color. She said the Treasury has recently completed its first equity review, looking across the department and asking, where are our operations not as inclusive as they should be? Yellen added that they have also hired the department's first ever counselor on racial equity and sought to hire the most diverse leadership team in the Treasury's history. She added that the Treasury was injecting some $9 billion into community development financial institutions, or CDFIs, and minority depository institutions that seek to serve people in places the financial sector historically has left out. Guys, actually, we kind of talked about this a couple weeks back with Kamala Harris and money going to certain CDFIs here in Pennsylvania for businesses owned by people of color. So, of course, no one program and no one administration can make good on the hopes and aspirations that Dr. King had for our country, Janet Yellen said. She said there is still much more work Treasury needs to do to narrow the racial wealth divide. Data backs up Yellen's sentiments that there is still vast work needed to be done to address race-based economic disparities, many of which were heightened over the past year as the COVID-19 pandemic took a disproportionate toll on the communities of color. The insidious legacy of slavery in the U.S., as well as decades of racist policies that followed, results in systemic economic issues that are still present today, such as the racial wealth gap. A brokering institution report published last year said that the net worth of a typical white family is $171,000. That's nearly 10 times greater than that of a black family at $17,000 in America. And I do want you to know that that number does vary based on different cities. It does get less in some places like Newark, which is ridiculous. While researchers saying these gaps in wealth between blacks and white households reveal the effects of accumulated inequality and discrimination, as well as differences in power and opportunity that can be traced back to the nation's inception. Again, I'm guessing that nobody from the Department of Treasury should be going to Florida, because if you start talking this stuff, you're going to offend some white folks. And apparently that is against the law now in Florida to offend white people. I think that this is a great idea. I'm excited about this. The central bank researcher said inheritance and intergenerational gifting of wealth, as well as investments families make in their children's, such as paying for college tuition, are a big factor in their children's ability to accumulate wealth. And for these reasons, wealth or lack thereof can persist across generations and reflect, among other factors, a legacy of discrimination or unequal treatment in housing, education, and labor markets. And that comes from the Fed researchers. I'm exhausted. I am emotionally exhausted from this story because we continuously have these conversations, and that's why we're here. That's why TCP in the Morning is here, and we thank you for watching and being here with us, because these stories are serious. They have a direct impact on you, on me, on our neighbors, on our community. And so it's really important that we have these discussions. So please go ahead, leave your thoughts down in the comments. But again, the average wealth for a white family is $171,000, and the average wealth for a black family is $17,000. And tell me again how slavery doesn't matter. Tell me again how you're not benefiting from your great-grandfather's pension from working at Procter & Gamble, a place that wouldn't hire black people. Sending it over to the desk. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, yes, she has addressed that there's an issue, but she hasn't really told us any solutions. I haven't read about any solutions, just that they know that it's a problem. And yes, we know. White people knew it was a problem. They've been saying it was a problem. Dr. King said it was a problem before any of us were born. And yet and still, you haven't done anything.
This reminds me of when we were driving down to South Carolina last summer. And we passed Marlboro, the cigarette manufacturer. And I did a little research on Marlboro, and Marlboro, that family, that company, was started from slaves. You know, so they were able to get this huge corporation based off of free labor. And then it made me think, let me look at their board, all white. Let me look at their senior management, you know, all white. And then I'm thinking about how many local black families, local black and brown families around had a relative, had a descendant that helped uplift that company, but are not seeing any kind of benefits from it. And those people that didn't lift one finger, you know, they're benefiting the most. Now, that's just with Marlboro, one of the biggest cigarette companies, you know. So how about all the other companies, or all the other mid-level and smaller companies? And then you begin to realize, like, how far behind we are. And this was a very sobering story, because outside of racism and outside of bias and prejudices and all that is hamped down on us, there's this whole other financial aspect of it that we're losing as well. And it's not like we're losing because of our own credence. It's because the game has been fixed.
Right.
And it's really depressing, because that young black and brown soul that comes into this earth, like, as a black man, I can't look at them and not feel some kind of pain and hurt, because I know what faces them in this world. And it hurts, because no child should be subjected to that. Sarge.
All right, man. We look we talk about the power of the black dollar. All right, and how we can boycott places. You know, we see it. There's important thing. All right, the economic value of 4 million slaves in 1860 was an average of 1,000 per person, or 4 billion total.
Right.
All right, so that was worth more than all banks, railroads, and factories in the U.S. at that time. So even back then, it wasn't black dollars; it was black bodies that were still that made the American economy.
Right.
All right. So then, moving on. All right. So in 2013, the African American market exceeded the $1 trillion mark for the first time. All right. The African American market is larger than that of the entire nation of Spain. All right. But the problem is, the black dollar in the black community only spends 6 hours there. Total 6 hours. Right. Compare that to the Jewish community where it spends 20 days.
But think about the fact that they're able to build business, though, right? Like that's a whole conversation. Go ahead, Sarge.
So, in the 30 years, all right, in 30 years from 1990 to 2020, the buying power of the minority of blacks and minorities, it went from $458 billion in 1990 to $3 trillion in 2020, and it's only going up.
Yeah.
All right. So at some point in time, we have to correct everything else. It shouldn't take this long. It shouldn't take 30 years.
But some people are benefiting from it being this way,
right.
So they don't want to change it.
Right.
Why am I going to change something that not even I've been benefiting off of, but my grandfather's grandfather has been benefiting off of? Like we talked about this before, but we have to come to a realization that this supremacy, this oppression is a well-oiled machine. It has been oppressing people since the 1600s. You know what I mean? So we are going up against something that has been here before us and something that will unfortunately be here well after us. Lady L.
So just thinking in terms of what Sarge was saying about like the commodity of black bodies, I remember hearing one of the black economists say all black people produce is sweat. And who wants to buy sweat?
We're hard workers. Like that's one of the things that is if there's one thing that is passed down when we talk about black and brown families, it's
work ethic.
It's that hard work. It's that hard work. Like how many old school black men you know that say, "Oh, I always had a job. I never was without a job."
Or working 16, 18 hours, right. 21 hours, ain't seen dad in 3 days.
Right. That's a slave mentality.
Right.
That is such a slave mentality, and we thought, we convinced ourselves, or rather this country convinced us, you work hard, dusk till dawn, you'll get your wealth.
And that's not true at all. We've been working hard dusk till dawn, and then even started working with our kids in some cases.
We're the generation that watched our parents work hard and get nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we're
that
like,
part.
Wait. I ain't see my dad all day, and he ain't got a 401k, and he blew through that already.
Right.
I ain't see my dad all day, and he broke at 60.
I remember walking on my dad's back as a kid.
Oh, that was always fun.
Walking on his back before he went to work. And it at one point it became a thing to where like he would wake me up 2 o'clock in the morning, have me walk on his back before he got to be to work at 3. Right. You know, because that's what he needed. On top of that, and this is I'm getting a little emotional here. But this is the sad truth. Like at one point in time, that was the only time I had to spend with my dad.
Right.
Because of the work schedule, the swing shift and everything.
Swing shift, Donnelly work.
Right. So that 2 a.m., you know, those 20 minutes meant the world to me. Like I would wait and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go to sleep, and I know that my dad's gonna wake me up at 2, and I'm gonna walk on his back, and loved it. And what did he pass down? He passed down that hard work ethic. And we're worth so much more than our physical labor. Right. Sarge.
I feel you, man. I've dealt with that. You know, when you've dealt with it, when having a father like that, you know, it's like you had a father in the home, but you didn't have a father in the home, you know, because they were always gone, always away. You know, and it's so easy to get caught up in that lifestyle, you know, and we got to work for what we want. We got to work hard. You got to sacrifice time away. You know, and being one of them guys who did sacrifice time away, you know, one of them guys coming home, being gone all day, coming home, body hurt and body sore, you know, you realize, like, you know what, there's more to life than this.
Right.
You know, like there has to be a different way. So you have to find your way, whether that might not be the way of busting, working 80-hour weeks. You know, you shouldn't have to work 8-hour weeks.
Right.
Because you're still losing something. You're gaining money, you're gaining this, but you're still losing. All right, so that's what people got to realize on their own, though.
Yep. Keisha says, break it down, and has some interjections with saying sad and right, and then says they wrote in the clause, and that's the problem. And she says that y'all are doing a great service. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bill, what's going on, Bill? Bill says this is in response to a comment. Bill says, but it's not a public health problem until the white kids are addicts. It's a crime problem. Heroin was an urban problem way back. The politicians didn't say ish until it moved out of the cities.
Right.
Same with crack. It was only about locking up people of color. And then continues to say that mayor for life and then councilman because he took care of his constituents. I work in D.C. That man is directly responsible for getting tens of thousands of his constituents good government jobs. People are complex. And to that point, William, without Mayor Marion Barry, like, we don't have BET.
Right.
He's the one that gave Rob Johnson the contract to do what he had to do because Rob believed in, the mayor believed in his vision. So, just to say, you know, no pressure, Mayor Sirachi.
Right, no pressure.
No pressure.
But he did help build BET.
I mean, so, you know, Mayor Sirachi, if you want, you know, in on...
Mayor for life.
Right, yo.
Councilman for life.
Yo, I'm just saying, but I'm saying invites to the cookout forever.
You know, one other thing, you know, we might have
be
to
on your Adam Silver.
We might have to talk to city council about getting rid of any little, you know, minor possessional violations. We'll have to talk to the members on city council about that. You know? I mean, they're doing it in other cities. You know, like we put so much stock into our legislators, and you need to do this. And we know their hands are tied. So let's control what we can control.
Dig it. All right, so oh no, this is actually on me. So, folks, want to let you know that you are listening and watching TCP in the morning.
Hi.
Brought to you by Penny.com. That is PENNIE.com. Penny.com, Pennsylvania's #1 healthcare marketplace. Go on ahead and see how much you can save by heading over to Penny.com right now and signing up for some healthcare. We're talking about eye, we're talking about medical, we're talking about dental, the things you need to take care of yourself when you bleed. You dig? Again, that is PENNIE.com, Penny.com, Pennsylvania's #1 healthcare marketplace. Gary Brown says, the conservative Washington, D.C. Chamber of Commerce recognized that the city cannot be ran by anyone else but Mary Berry. And then LaRock says, FYI, she gets a pension if voted in for a 3rd term.
Oh, get it.
Oh, so then that makes sense why Mayor Gray was there for 12 years. He was like, you know?
I did my 3.
Right.
And Mayor Smith called.
We take this pension.
Right.
And come on up.
And we good.
Smith called like I did my 10. You always were the mayor.
Yo, straight up.
So hit in the head with a bottle.
But in all seriousness, Mayor Sirachi, what up though? Seriously, what up though? So let's take it to our next story, where we're gonna have some fun. These are our last 2 stories of the day. Thank you for rocking out with us this morning. This comes from Blavity, and where are they? Black TikTok influencers are noticeably missing from the Forbes top earning list. So regardless of having some of the top views, none of them were on the top earning list. Man. I'm glad I'm not in Florida because I'm about to go in.
People feel bad.
Right. They might send the SWAT team straight to the door.
We might get a letter from Facebook, Florida. Like, look, you can no longer broadcast in Florida.
I'm about to start joining more Florida groups.
Again, this comes from Blavity.com, folks. Forbes released its new highest paid TikTok influencer list. The top earning TikTokers of 2022 the list ranks some of the platform's most valuable players that hauled in an estimated $55.5 million, a 200% increase from 2020's total. The list, however, is receiving backlash for its lack of black influencers being featured, especially after last year's hashtag Black TikTok strike. Black users created the strike on TikTok in support of black TikTok creators whose work had been copied by non-black users and received viral success and careers in the industry. I'm going to hold it right there and use this one kid as a example. This one kid, he had this thing where like he would make these songs. You know, he would be like, hey, here's how you make a Drake song. And he'd be like, first you start out with a nice melodic beat. And then you add in the drums. And then he brought in the drums. And then he's like, well, you know that Drake likes to talk about women and cell phones. So, and then he'll spit a little bar with about women and cell phones. And then he'll be like, and then you know Drake, he likes to sing rap. And then he'll sing rap. And then he'll be like, all right, guys, here's how it looks. And it sounds just like a Drake song. Like, it's dope. What I found out was there was a white boy producer that cherry-picked it and did the same exact thing, and then he was getting record label offers. I'm like, how? How? So, again, that's a little side note. So, Forbes broke down its top earning list based on individuals whose fame originated first on TikTok. Their list grouped the estimated TikTok earned in 2021 from January 1st through December 31st. This year's ranking differs from the debut list created in 2020, which calculated TikTokers' earnings from July 2019 through July 2020. Previously, Forbes measured TikTokers' pockets with a snapshot of who they thought had earned $1 million over 12 months. Their new 2020 top 5 list requires a minimum of $4.75 million in earnings. So, still, black creators were missed in this list except for one, and that is the Senegalese-born KB Lane, who has amassed nearly 127 million followers. And for those that do not know who that young man is, he's the young man that does this. He has this video where there's these people doing all this difficult kind of stuff, you know, like putting toothpaste on a toothbrush or something like that, and they'll do all this extra stuff, putting toothpaste on a toothbrush, and he'll do something like open up the toothpaste, put it on the toothbrush, and do like that. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't say a word. And he's the only one. So it's a shame that we're seeing this racism, bias, and prejudice even in the new realm of new media and digital media.
But even if you think in terms of technology, and yes, we are talking about people, but think about it because cells have memory and you train up a child, right? So if you think about it in terms of computer systems, if you think about it with people, if you've already trained people that whiteness is right, if you've already trained people to ignore black people doing things, even if it is a new device or it's a new social media app, the teaching is still there. The teachings are still there. So then that next generation then spews out the same type of information, right? Because it didn't change anything. It's not anything new. It was already programmed to lead with white. It was already programmed that way. And guess what it's going to do? Continue to perpetuate that. My thing is that when Forbes did this, nobody said anything. Nobody was like, there are no black TikTok creators that are making lots of money. And everybody in the room was like, well, I guess not. And everybody in the room
was okay with it.
Right. And nobody said, nah, that doesn't.
I guess this is the list.
Right. And they just went with it. Well, I mean, why would they? Right? Nobody in that room said, there might be some racial undertones to this. Nobody in that room said, I know that this person isn't the originator of this.
The room has to be diverse.
Oh, and we can't get into those rooms because we're not the cultural fit. Because we didn't grow up in the suburbs, and everybody that's in that room apparently got to have grown up in the suburbs.
I mean, and according to the article, this kid, Lane, young man, I'm not calling him a kid. He has roughly 6 million more followers on TikTok than the #1 on the Forbes ranked list. So he has 6 million more. They have 127. He has 133.
He definitely should be making more money.
Or at least be in the top 10. Like, it's frustrating because this is our realm. Like this is where TCP lives. This is where TCP exists. And if you're telling me even in this new realm that has really launched itself into this stratosphere, let's say the last 3 years, like racism even rears its ugly head in the newest of new systems. It's disheartening.
Look, and I read a book by ancestor Marcus Garvey that talked about, like, we don't have to be a part of that. Like, black people, make your own thing. Make our own app. Get on our own stuff. Subscribe for Black Planet. Put money into pockets of black creators on Patreon and subscribe to them directly. Like, just do those things directly and ignore these societal trends. Ignore these larger corporations that we already know have underlining racism within them. Even if they're trying not to be, it just is what it is. And we just got to go out here and do our own thing. Where's the list from TikTok from Essence Magazine? Right? Why are we looking at Forbes? That's not for us. You see what I'm saying? Where's the list of Instagram creators from the Source magazine? I don't know if it's still a magazine, but I'm trying to make a point. Mm-hmm. Where's that list at, right? So here's the thing. We are, another ancestor talked about this. Du Bois talked about how we as black people live in this veil here in America. And the issue is that we keep looking at our lives through this veil of whiteness. And the issue is that we live on the other side of the veil. So we keep looking at them like, dang, when that's going to be me? Dang, I want some of that. Dang. But we live on the other side of this veil, right? So here's the thing. If we are all on the other side of this veil, then let's just do it. Let's live the best lives that we can within this veil. Let's do our own TV stations. Let's do our own networks. And then what do we see? We run into the issue with racism of people not giving capital, people not giving funding, people saying, oh, well, there's not enough black people that would want to see this. How dare you? How dare you? And that's a part of the issue. White people making decisions for black folks that don't know black people, or that only know affluent black people, that have never met low-income black people, don't know that black people, that we come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Some of us like rock and roll. Some of us will argue you that we discovered rock and roll. So no, let's not sit up here. Let's not get annoyed that white people are white people in. Because there's a whole bunch of white people in that room, and they all sat up there and high-fived each other and said that this was a great idea. And now here we are talking about it. Essence Magazine, please put out a list. You know what I'm saying? Black-owned magazine, whoever, please come out with a list, and let's support our own, and let's just do our own thing, because I'm tired of having these conversations about white people acting like white people and leaving people of color out of the mix. And then we sit here and we run and scrape to try to give them our dollars. How much money do we bring into the economy, Sarge? trillions of dollars. Screw you. Don't buy none of their stuff. Stop going to their websites. Get that app off your phone, and let's do our own thing.
Us doing our own thing. Like, we would have to be on one accord, and then with stuff like Essence, Essence Magazine would need those people in the room that are TikTok watchers. You know, they would need to have that kind of youth movement in the room for that to happen. More often than not, they don't have a youth movement in the room. They have a bunch of established journalist people. You know, that's not bad, but they don't have the flexibility like a Forbes to have to have a large staff with multiple people of multiple ages. Essence, they are running off of a shoestring budget, mainly because of funding that brings us back to this issue at hand. Exactly. So folks, we are going to get to our last story of the day. So yeah.
Can I speak on that story real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, look, I just want, numbers are good numbers, guy. Again.
Yeah.
All right, talk about the stats. 30% of TikTok's followers are people that use TikTok are black, 18% are white, and 31% are Hispanic, and that's our age group. That's like up there, 17% are men, 24% are women. Forbes list is 100% inaccurate. Can we just get that out there? All right, they go based off people's estimated net worth. All right, but if you have a billionaire, after they make their first billion, do they really know how much they're worth them, and they just kind of keeps going? You really follow? So they're using an estimate. Forbes was created in 1917. All right, how many black millionaires were there in 1917?
Well, first of all, there were still black people not getting hired because it was legal to discriminate against black people.
Yeah, people. So Robert Johnson was the first. Robert Johnson, we talk about him, owner of BET.
Yeah,
first black person to appear in Forbes. Right?
We've been talking about this brother all morning.
Sheesh. Wow. That's crazy.
Throwing it out there. All right, now we can go to that next story. All right, so our next story. Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. You guys are watching TCP in the morning.
In the morning.
We love doing this thing. If you have not followed us yet, follow us, share the stream, tell a friend to tell a friend about us, yo. We do this, and we love doing this thing. We're here for you, baby.
Subscribe to my page, bro.
Hit the subscribe button, bro.
Right below.
All right, so.
Get the notifications, man.
The CDC continues to throw out some guidelines, but they know we're Americans and we don't listen.
But my fun.
All right, so if the scientists at the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention had their way to curb the spread of COVID right now, nearly every U.S. school would cancel football, wrestling, band, and loads of other mainstay school activities. In another piece of guidance, the CDC tells people who recover from COVID-19 that they can leave their home after 5 days. And while they are out and about for the next 5 days, they should avoid being around more than 80% of the U.S. public. So, go in to go home. So, Dr. William Schaffner, an advisor of the CDC for 4 decades, said it's unlikely, unreasonable, and unrealistic to think Americans will follow either of the agency's suggestions. So, making public health recommendations, they are not a platonic ideal, Schaffner added. They have to work in the real world. Such out-of-touch advice has been a hallmark of many CDC recommendations long before the pandemic began, and the agency needs to do better, said current and former health officials and physicians who have worked with the CDC on health guidance. As we say in Tennessee, that dog won't hunt, said Schaffner, an infectious disease expert at Vanderbilt. Over the past few weeks, the agency has faced criticism for issuing guidance that was confusing or seemed counterintuitive. In this case, the criticism of different. The concern is that the CDC staffers, while hardworking, smart, and well-intentioned, don't always consider whether Americans will or even can follow their advice. So the CDC director was asked about the 2 pieces of guidance in a statement. The director said, the agency prioritizes academics over athletics because of the increased risk involved in some extracurricular sports. When followed, our school guidance has been incredibly effective. In the fall, 99% of schools were able to remain open during the intense Delta wave of COVID. Part of the problem, Schaffner said, and others said, is that the CDC scientists are sometimes stuck in a bubble. You got nerds, literally science nerds, who are writing these things, said Dr. Otis Brawley, who worked with the CDC on cancer guidance while he was chief medical officer at the American Cancer Society from 2007 to 2018. Brawley added that the CDC is often in a tough spot, for example. It's clear that there have been documented COVID-19 outbreaks among choir, and so on the one hand, it makes sense to advise schools to stay away from singing. But on the other hand, it's unrealistic to think that schools would cancel band, choir, and school musicals now or at any other period of high transmission. I really feel for the people at the CDC, he says. They're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. So, as part of the guidance, the CDC on January 6th advised schools to cancel or hold high-risk sports and extracurricular activities virtually anytime a community has a high COVID-19 transmission rate. I'm going to hold off right there for a little bit and go on into a little tangent.
Yep, go on ahead. Floor is yours.
Look, you guys, they're not nerds. It's their job. I don't want someone like me doing the research on a cure, on what not to do. I don't want someone like me. I want someone that dedicates their life, their time to this. Someone that can go, yeah, you're a nerd. You're whatever.
The same way you enjoy doing the news. Yeah. I want somebody that enjoys discovering cures to do the job.
The problem is Americans are hard-headed. We're stubborn. We're spoiled. We're bratty. We want it all. No consequences. Oh, I'm going out. Oh, my gosh, I'm dying. Why are you dying? Forget that COVID. It's not real.
But my fun. My fun.
Is fun that important that you need to lose your life or risk the lives of your loved ones? Is it? It's not. All right. So there's people. We have older folks in nursing homes who will never, like, people have died with no human physical contact because of this disease, because of this virus, because of people's lack of faith in it. People choose not to believe in it and act like it's nothing.
Herman Cain died going to a Trump rally.
Like, we will never get back to normal until we accept things being unnormal. Yeah. We have to be uncomfortable before we can be comfortable.
Yeah.
Just like with racism, everything's that way. It works that way. In a relationship, be uncomfortable before you can be comfortable.
You can't force normalcy.
You can't.
That's what it is, Lady L.
Yeah, so I actually think that this may be a good idea. However, I think we just need to be just having an agreed upon mitigation effort across the board. And that just seems to be the issue, right? Like sometimes we listen to the CDC, sometimes we don't listen to the CDC. The CDC sometimes tells us things that they told us not to do before. So it is a little bit difficult because then you'll have a number of Americans who are just like, well, they don't know, so I don't know, and I'm just not going to do anything, or I'm going to do my own thing. And it's just like, well, hey, if we can all work this out together, you know. If today they're saying, hey, wear some masks, and tomorrow they're saying, well, wear, you know, a gas mask, then let's do that, right? Because things change. The mutations, they change. So they'll require different things from us. They'll require different mitigation efforts from us. And that's the part that people don't understand. So yes, if the city says go left, then maybe we should attempt to go left. And when something happens, something new comes out, and they say go right, then let's do that. But the world is ever evolving, and this particular disease is ever mutating. So we just need to stay the course. And if they're saying, hey, let's limit these games, I think that's reasonable. Consider going to a high school football or basketball game or a sporting event. You are in close quarters with people. And I know that you're outside, but it's still different. People are walking up the stands, walking down the stands, jumping up and down. And then normally when we are outside, especially here in Pennsylvania, people are less likely to wear their masks because we're outside. We also live in a particular town where it's like varsity blues out here, guys. And so, yes, those stands, they're filled with people.
Not McCaskey. Bang, bang.
Back in the day.
He ain't lying.
But
No comment.
but like Lady L, to that point, before I get to my point, Chiquita says also nerd should not be used as a slanderous term. William says scientific literacy is a pandemic as well. Very true. And Gary says most CDC scientists are on the Asperger spectrum. So am I. So if you need a translator for the CDC, I'm here for you. Dig it, dig it, dig it. And then Chiquita says, exactly, Sarge. I don't want me doing any type of scientific research because guess what? I'm not a scientist. And Keisha says, passionate about their research. Absolutely. You would want somebody that knows their lane. Like, y'all tune in to us every Monday through Thursday because you know that this is our lane. We're not going to come up here and give you some Fox News stuff, even with the commentary and our opinions attached to it. There's always going to be some kind of informative aspect going on to it to keep you in the know. Just like with our scientists, just like with our dentists, I don't want my dentist to be a mechanic.
We're not just up here giving opinions and talking. Like
Well, your doctor used to be your barber back in the day. So,
but he also had the knowledge though and the
that
passion
part
for
too.
it. Like,
Right.
He wasn't just doing it out of nowhere. Well, today we going to do a dentist.
Right.
That's what we're doing today in the barbershop. No, he cared about you. He wanted to make sure you were healthy. So we did all those things to make sure that you could go out looking good and feeling good and being your best.
And he was a barber to get him through medical school. So, I mean, it all works hand in hand. I'm going to get the inside of you sharp, and then if you need to, I'm going to get the outside of you sharp as well. Keisha says, embrace survival and the newness of the norm. My thing is, folks, be active, stay alive. Like get active, stay alive. We are, like we always like to say, pretty much still in a pandemic. So do what you got to do to stay safe during this time. Folks, we're going to put a pin in it right there. We are coming up on that 10 o'clock hour. Want to thank you again for joining us for another great episode of TCP in the morning. We will see you tomorrow bright and early at 8 a.m. Giving you everything that you need. But before we go, we got a few housekeeping things to do. So, Lady L, what you got?
Hey guys, listen, I can't wait to see you this Friday for week 3 of the Health Equity Now Music Festival, taking place at Crispus Attucks Community Center, happening this Friday, hosted by our Black Lady Doctors. So come down Crispus Attucks this Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. Food will be provided by Soulfully Famous. You can also get your vaccination, your booster, and or your flu shots. Also, take a listen to live performances. I don't have the list.
Kiana Corley this week, right?
Yep, Kiana Corley.
Corley this
yeah.
week.
Thank you. Y'all heard
some acoustic
it.
sounds, y'all.
Y'all heard it. So come see her performing live at Crispus Attucks. Please mask up. And we will be there from 6 to 9. Also, don't forget, if you have a young person interested in the medical field, they are working on another session of Pipeline to Dreams, exposing high school juniors and seniors to health equity research in various health allied fields. We have dropped that information down in the comments for you to go ahead and register your young people or send an email to Carissa with any questions. That actually will begin next week, so go on ahead and get your students registered, and these will be online Zoom meetings. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And I guess I'm going to take something from my handsome husband co-host and my other co-host here, and I'm going to do my own little giblet. There's so much more to our history than slavery. We've contributed to innovation, science, literature, art, and customs that have helped shape the culture of the United States and the world. Despite slavery, we found ways to survive and thrive beyond. Over to the desk.
Like the new segment,
All
Lady
right,
L.
Lady L.
Okay.
All right, Lady L. Hey, y'all, listen up. I'm going to give a little shout out real quick. Yes. One more time. So, I'd like to give this shout out to my baby dolls, my princesses, my baby boys, my princess, my baby dolls, my he, she's, my kings, my queens, my we's, he, she's, they's, me, you, we, baby.
We, baby.
I'm going to leave y'all with this. The beauty of life is while we cannot undo what is done, we can see it, understand it, learn from it, and change, so that every new moment is spent not in regret, guilt, fear, or anger, but in wisdom, understanding, and love. I have found that if you love life, life will love you back.
Hey.
Y'all have a great day.
Live it, love it. Folks, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Yeah, man. Everyone wants to save the world, but nobody wants to help mom do the dishes.
Nobody.
How about that, folks? Little by little, man. Little by little. Small acts of kindness. Again, everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to help mom do the dishes. Small acts of kindness. Do something small that means something big to somebody today. We will see you tomorrow on TCP in the morning. Peace out.
This is Assad. This is your Penny.com Health Minute. In part 2 of our healthcare terminology, we begin with the phrase out-of-pocket maximum, which is the most money in the form of deductibles, co-pays, and co-insurances you can pay each year, regardless of how much medical care you use. Do you need prescription medication? Well, Penny.com has provided a convenient way for you to look at the plans you are considering to see how much your prescription could cost. Network is also a key term you will continuously see while navigating Penny.com. Your network is compiled of healthcare providers and facilities your insurer has contracted with. Do you want to include your doctor in your plan? No worries. You can use Penny's provider directory to see if your provider is included in your plan. Signing up for healthcare coverage can be intimidating. Luckily, Penny.com has made it easier for all of us. This is Assad, and this was your Penny.com Health Minute. My name is Shane Meadows. I am the co-founder and co-executive director of Advantage Lancaster, a nonprofit for young people trying to help them seek higher education opportunities or post-secondary opportunities. The past year and a half, the COVID-19 epidemic has affected our organization specifically in just ways in which we mentor and connect with young people. It is very hard, extremely hard, to make connections with young people through Zoom. And so I would say probably the hardest thing to do through this epidemic is creating new relationships, building on bonds that we had in the past, just being able to touch your students, give them a hug or a high five, or just sharing meaningful experiences in person. And so we lost out on 18 months or 19 months of being able to share each other's stories, give each other hugs, laugh, smile, and basically have in-person programming. Advantage Lancaster's relationship with Dr. Hamlin is a personal relationship first. So Sharice and I, we are both founders of nonprofits that are run by African American and founded by African American people. So we connect at a certain level through that. So we talk to each other about advice on how can we collaborate, or even, what are some pitfalls in the nonprofit world that we should be aware of, or what are some grant opportunities that we should be aware of. There'll be opportunities for Advantage Lancaster students to work for Patients Are Waiting. So as an educator for 20-some plus years, I work with children. I'm a 6th grade teacher as well as a nonprofit co-founder. So I thought it was really important for me, as far as me being safe and being in the classroom with students, as well as my mom is in her 70s. I just lost my dad, and I just felt like I wanted to hug my mom. And like I said on a Zoom call, you can't hug your mom on a Zoom call. You can't wipe away tears on a Zoom call. And so I knew as soon as I got the opportunity to get vaccinated, I was going to do so, because I wanted to be safe for my family, for the students that I taught, but on a personal level for my mother. I wanted to be able to be with my family, and it was a no-brainer for me in that aspect. As far as the pandemic affecting communities of color, anytime you have extreme situations like a pandemic, not like we have these all the time, but it's always going to affect communities of colors or those underrepresented in life even more than other communities. And so I would read in the paper or see on the news the numbers and the disproportionate rates of how it was affecting people of color. And so I thought it was very important for me to do my part in making sure that I was safe and making sure the people in my family could be safe. I just thought it was just really important for people of color to take it seriously. I'm very optimistic when I look at what patients are waiting is doing. I mean, they're mobilizing. I mean, every weekend you see them offering the vaccine to people. And I'm not sure what the turnout is, but they're not stopping. And so that gives me hope that, you know, there are people out there that are continuing to fight and, you know, get that message out that the virus is real. And if you want to be safe, this is an option for you. So I'm very optimistic as far as I do know that there are healthcare workers and there are people that are, you know, still fighting the fight as far as making sure that the right information and the vaccine is getting out to people who may be reluctant, who may have some hesitancy.